Welcome, everybody, to the official SNORCKL podcast. Technically, this is episode 3 because Johnny and Gabe earlier in the summer did 2 episodes without me.
Yeah, that's correct. This is the first official, I guess, with me and Dan here. This is Johnny, obviously. If you recall, we did post those 2. They were related to Infinity War, kind of a before and after thing, which was a lot of fun. And we were thinking that Comic-Con is this week. A lot of nerdy stuff going on with that, movie trailers and things to look forward to. So we thought we'd do a little preview show and kind of break things down, talk about what we're expecting, what we hope to see, and just what we're most excited about.
Before that, I guess we should kind of talk about the channel, SNORCKL. It's 2 years old now. We finally hit 2,000 subscriptions, which you haven't mentioned yet, but we did that around E3 time. So we definitely want to say thank you so much for that, and we really, really appreciate it. I know I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and obviously 2 years ago we did, and it's kind of nerve-wracking putting yourself on video and audio and putting it out to the world. And we've had over 400, almost closing in on 500,000 views as a channel. So it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was definitely, because me and Dan, obviously, we're brothers, and we, have been watching movies together our entire lives, and we could have been doing this for years prior to when we started. And, I just think it was a good time when we did. And we definitely appreciate all the support you guys have given us. It's crazy. I have people like reaching out to me on Instagram from New Zealand and just all this other stuff. And it's crazy. You don't really realize the scope and like how far out YouTube reaches and all the different people you bring in. So thank you. And here's to 2,000 more subscribers and 2 more years of production and a good bright future here.
Just to give everybody a quick backstory, me and Johnny, SNORCKL, I don't even know why I came up with the name, but the channel in general is pretty much an extension of what me and Johnny have been doing for years. Like, when Johnny was a little kid in like elementary school, obviously he's my little brother, but I'm like 8 years older than him, 9 years older than him. So probably in like middle school, I started taking him to movies on Friday after school. My mom would drop us off at the movies. And obviously when YouTube came around and stuff like that, we'd watch all the trailers, and we were pretty much doing this channel just talking on the way home from the movies and after when we would get home. And we finally just decided after all these years and years to do this. So thank you once again, because it means a lot. We can finally say we have thousands of subscribers.
Yeah. The fact that people want to listen and watch us babble about movies and video games and everything else is a miracle, but we're very grateful, as we've said. So without further ado, I guess we will kind of crack this thing open. People, if you're not familiar with San Diego Comic-Con, it's the most famous, most significant comic convention in the world, I would say. Every July in San Diego, the comic book companies, movie studios, they all pile in. And this year, we have some really cool stuff to look forward to. Although Marvel, Disney is not participating as they have in recent years, so that's interesting. They have their own little convention, D23, where I'm sure they'll be doing stuff later on. But so it's a big deal. Movie trailers get revealed, posters, that kind of thing. And this week, the actual convention doesn't start for a couple more days. But we've already gotten a deluge of information and posters and photos and all types of stuff in just the last couple of days for Aquaman, Shazam. It's been awesome, and it's just going to get crazier building up to Saturday when a lot of this stuff comes out.
I want to say, Johnny, have you ever been to a Comic-Con, even a small one?
No, I don't think so, actually, which is kind of shocking.
Last year, because obviously, me and Johnny have been watching Comic-Con in San Diego for years and years, but actually this past year, we have a small Comic-Con in our town that we live in, and they brought in the cast of Dragon Ball Z. I think like Lou Ferrigno was there. A lot of like older celebrities or people that are kind of like fringe, except the Dragon Ball Z people because they're still relevant to me. But it's kind of weird like going there because the convention center was relatively a decent size. I mean, it's small compared to like some bigger ones, but it's kind of weird because you walk in and there's 50 Jokers and like 100 Batman and like 200 like Gokus walking around, and then you see like, oh, Lou Ferrigno. He's not the biggest celebrity in the world anymore, obviously, but like it's Lou Ferrigno. It's still like pretty
people
cool.
know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. If you saw him walking down the street, you would know that's the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And then I went to a panel where they had the cast of Dragon Ball Z, and like they were don't want to say they were reenacting, but they were like sitting around and people would ask them to do certain scenes and stuff.
Right.
And it was really cool to like hear them in person because you could just close my eyes and I can hear it the way I've heard it for so long on TV. So I think Comic-Cons in general are really, really cool. But jumping forward to San Diego Comic-Con, because it's by far the biggest one. Oh, would you like to go to this, or do you think it would just be too overwhelming?
Oh, absolutely, I would love to go to this. I mean, like I said, we've been keeping up with this for years, and every year I look forward to this. I mean, it's like Christmas for me. Especially, I'm a big DC fan, and Warner Brothers typically goes all out for them, especially the last few years with their cinematic universe kind of kicking off. And even no matter what you say or how you feel about that, cinematic universe and the quality of their films, it's always an awesome show. Like, the trailers always kick ass. They have all the stars in there, obviously. They answer questions and they, make appearances. It's just a lot of fun. And, even as not the biggest, like, MCU fan or, like, fan of, like, other franchises necessarily, just the amount of, like, celebrities and, like, directors and writers and stuff that they bring in is really cool. And, of course, the comic creators as well, which I'm really into the comic side of things, too. So I would definitely love to go. And I just think it's really cool to just be with so many different people that are like fans of the same stuff as you. That's always really cool to me, that like community. And so it's a ways away from where we live.
Yeah.
I've been to San Diego a few different times. Fortunately, it's like a beautiful city. It's one of my favorites. But we live in North Carolina, so the finances behind that sort of trip would be significant. But we'll see. I would definitely like to do it.
I've heard the last 10 years probably that it's almost impossible to get a ticket. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if you put yourself on the waiting list 6 months in advance if you can get a ticket, or if you can get them secondhand. I have no idea how any of that works.
Right. Well, yeah, I know. And I know there's a difference between, actually getting a pass to go to this convention. And then there's, of course, the different panels and like stuff like that. So a ton of waiting in line and just, I'm sure it's pretty miserable at times, but
I would go all out. I would want to at least
no question
go stand in line for a couple of like autographs of people I really care about. I'd want to go to like a Warner Brothers / Marvel Disney panel if Disney ever did it, which I don't know if they will in the future or not.
Right.
I would also like to do one day of cosplay. Like
I was going to say that.
I don't want to go all out because I couldn't be there constantly for multiple days in costume, but I could definitely do one day.
Yeah, because we've never actually talked about this that much, but yeah, I think one day in costume would be reasonable. One day, San Diego Comic-Con, what are you wearing? It's a tough one.
God dang,
there's a lot of different characters to choose from.
I'm partial to the Marvel characters, obviously. I could do an Iron Man, Captain America, or like a Spider-Man, but I'd also like to be something off the wall that nobody would expect.
Yeah, that's always fun. Or like people, especially when they like mash up different characters, like genres or whatever, that's really fun. Yeah, but that would definitely be, that's 100% something, that's on my bucket list, I guess you could say, especially as a guy that's into comics and movies.
I could even, that just reminded me, now you mentioned that, I could be like Decker or something, like something like that would be cool.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. Officer K from 2049, that would be a cool one. I'd love to go as him. But yeah, so getting into kind of what happens in the schedule specifically for this week, Wednesday is kind of they call it preview night, essentially. And they have people going in and they get to walk around the floor and they get to see the different displays. Of course, they have a bunch of different costumes that they can show and all the different stuff that they have set up for each studio and each film. And so that's going to be really interesting. I think this year specifically, I'm looking forward to like the first photos we get of like Aquaman stuff. I would imagine they'll have like Mera's costume and maybe even like Black Manta and Orm. That'd be really cool. I know. I remember like the first look at some of the stuff, like costumes for BVS and like Wonder Woman, came off of like the show floor, and they were just kind of like these photos that we got from preview night. And so that's Wednesday night, and that's no one really goes. It's more for like the media. And then Thursday it's completely open. And this year, I think the only significant stuff that they're doing Thursday, as far as like movies goes, is the Fox. 20th Century Fox is having a panel, and then
sorry to cut you off. They're not expected to do much.
No, not really.
There's talk of Predator, but we just got that new trailer.
Well, the Predator is definitely going to be there. They're probably going to be showing actual footage. We just got the trailer online, so there's not going to be anything released online, I would suspect. And then because they're X-Men films that are in such flux right now with Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, those are being re-edited and reshot and a whole bunch of stuff. So they're not going to be able to show anything for that. And then Alita Battle Angel is another Fox Productions. I think that'll have a presence, but that's going to be later on. So Friday is when things are really going to get interesting, especially for people that can't actually go to Comic-Con, because that's when they're going to start releasing things online, I would think. Significant stuff like the first trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's Glass film. And
what do you think about that movie? Because you saw the most recent one.
Correct. Okay, so have you seen Split?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yep.
Okay, good. So you've seen Unbreakable as well.
I don't know if I've ever seen Unbreakable.
But you know what it is about, right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, spoiler warning here, if you have not seen Split and or Unbreakable, I guess. In Unbreakable, which came out, probably over 20 years ago now, something like that. This was when M. Night was still really hot and didn't have any issues, but...
no issues.
Bruce Willis is basically a superhero, for lack of a better term. He's unbreakable, and he has this kind of villain played by Samuel L. Jackson, and his name's Glass. That's what Glass is referring to. And then, so it was I think it was like a generally well-received film. People really liked it. It's kind of like a cult classic almost. And then Split came out, and which was last year, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Earlier last year it came out, and M. Night's best film in a long time, I think. And the twist is that James McAvoy's character is basically a superhero. He has like all these different personalities, and he has like super strength. It's really weird, the Beast and all these other things. And then it's revealed at the end that Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable is also in this universe, in the same city. It's Philadelphia, with this guy played by McAvoy, and presumably also Glass. And we know now he's in prison or some sort of facility. And so now this new Glass film is going to be coming out, I think, in January or February of next year, which is just a few months away. And that's going to combine all three of these characters, along with Anya Taylor-Joy's character from Split. She was the teenage girl. So it's kind of like... it's weird.
Yeah, did you like Split? I'm kind of torn on it because it was a good film overall. But I didn't understand... Like I wanted him to turn into something or something. You know what I mean?
I think that's kind of...
It was underwhelming.
I don't know if I would agree with that necessarily. I think objectively, it's a good film. Like, it's well made. And James McAvoy is off the wall in that thing. He's so good. Anya Taylor-Joy, I really like her as well. And I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it was a good film.
I did like seeing the new promo art where they're all sitting in the room and they're being like lectured or having a session of some kind.
Yeah. All three of them are in there.
Yeah,
I think the appeal of this is that it's like unheard of to have this one filmmaker write and direct these three different kind of individual films, but it's like a cinematic universe and it's superheroes basically. So it's really cool, and it's kind of like M. Night did it before the MCU, but is kind of after the MCU because he's tying it in, with Split and that kind of thing. But I think it'll be really interesting. I mean, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy. I think it should be pretty cool. I'm excited. I think I won't be able to say I'm totally like on crazy about it until we see this trailer. Based on how the footage looks and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely want to see the trailer. But overall, I am excited, hoping that it can be more of what I wanted Split to be. Is Sony the next press conference after that? Right.
And right before we hop away from Glass, I just want to say I really want to see Bruce Willis and James McAvoy like beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that could be a good
yeah. And so, but yes, Sony is Friday evening. I believe that is at what time is that? For you people that are going to be keeping track at home, the Glass trailer is going to be in the Universal panel, which is going on at 6:45 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time on Friday. And then just a couple hours later at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Sony panel. And really the main thing that we're going to be looking for online from that is the second official trailer for Venom, the Tom Hardy film that's coming out, I believe in October, right? Which is just 3 months away now. And
I gotta say, we were one of the first people to
literally
in the world to post a reaction to the Venom trailer when it first dropped a couple months ago, and it's one of our most watched videos of all time.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think we were at the gym, and we were like finishing up our workout, and Johnny I think saw something on Twitter, and we were like, "Holy shit, this is the leaked trailer!"
Right.
And I wasn't sure if we should post it because I knew they could strike it down at any time.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, we waited just long enough, maybe like 30 minutes or so. We ran over back to my apartment, filmed a reaction. I posted it like 10 minutes later. And it took off after that. I couldn't believe how much traction that video got.
And not just our video, but I was amazed by how much traction this trailer got on Twitter and just all over the internet. I think Tom Hardy's obviously he's a movie star essentially. He's one of the best actors going, and Venom is a famous character that has never been done justice on the big screen before. Rest in peace, Topher Grace's incarnation.
I think that is one of the iconic characters in comic book history.
Oh, for sure.
And it hasn't ever been brought to light like in a good way. And mix that with the fact that people like Tom Hardy. Yeah. And it was like, wow, this could be something.
It looked, the design, and like...
It looked perfect. Like, that's one of those things where you're like, ugh, how's this going to look?
Right.
But it looked perfect. So I give Sony all the credit in the world because I crap on them all the time about their movie division.
Which I think people are still skeptical and kind of apprehensive about a Venom movie without Spider-Man, But what we both enjoyed that first trailer.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, as I think a lot of people were. What do you want to see in this second trailer? I would imagine this will probably be the last one we get before the movie comes out. But what would you like to see in this to really fully sell you on the movie? And just like kind of what are your expectations, I guess?
Surprisingly, I don't want to see Venom again.
Whoa, that's
because
you're alone on that one.
I want it to be. I mean, of course, I want to see it, but I think they should hold that as for the movie. I don't think that they should put out any more full body or headshots of Venom.
Question. Is this movie going to be rated R? Because a lot of people were saying that like before it went into production, while it was in production. The director has, I think in the past, I'm not sure, he did Zombieland, I think, which was rated R, obviously. I think he did a couple other rated R films. I don't really know what to expect. I think Venom is kind of he's a pretty violent character, I would say. I know I read one of the interviews recently with Tom Hardy. EW had a couple of exclusive photos from the film, and he was saying how the Venom bites off people's heads and stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like
that would be awesome.
The first trailer didn't seem to hint at anything like that necessarily. This was the first full trailer. The teaser trailer came out a couple months before the big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm curious to see, what are we actually going to hear about this movie? Because they're going to have a panel where they're going to talk about it, of course. Are they going to confirm a rating? I would love for it to be rated R, obviously. I don't know if that's a realistic option, but
I think it would be okay for them to do that. It's not attached directly to the MCU, as far as we know. Well, it's not, because they were being ambiguous at first about it, and then they came out and said it's not. No. So that's okay.
As long as the MCU money is still being pumped up into Sony's bank account, because I have a conspiracy theory about this. Sony's deal with Disney, they're basically loaning out Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that obviously, and they're also putting out like Spider-Man Homecoming. That's Sony. That's Sony getting the money from that, basically. So I have a theory here that eventually they're going to set up like this Venom movie, and then they're making this Jared Leto movie with this villain that I haven't heard of before, this vampire guy. And then they're also talking about doing a movie about these female characters in the Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man still. So I have a theory that they're going to let Tom Holland go for a couple more years here with the MCU while the money's still flowing, and then they're going to be like, all right, that's enough of that, and they're going to pull him back. And then they're going to release them into this universe with all these other characters that they're setting up. Don't take my word for it, but Sony has done crazier things in the past. So
if Disney doesn't buy Sony by that point,
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, but that could be. I mean, that could certainly be the case. I mean, we've seen so many crossovers at this point, and I don't know if they could pull that off.
I mean, I think a lot of people would pay top dollar to see Tom Hardy as Venom go against Tom Holland Spider-Man. I mean, no question, right?
The next up that we kind of wanted to speak about was Fantastic Beasts 2 trailer should be coming out.
Right, and that's going to be at the Warner Brothers panel, which is the next day, Saturday. Saturday is the big day. That's the day everyone looks forward to for the most part. Fox and Sony and Universal do their own little things, but Saturday, and Saturday is also when typically Disney would be doing the MCU stuff that evening. They're not going to be there this year, as we already said, but 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be the WB panel. And as you just said, the second trailer for Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald is going to be released online. That movie is coming out in November, so they're going to get that marketing up and running. What are your expectations? What do you think of the first movie? What do you think about the first trailer?
I mean, the first movie was okay. We're kind of running into that now with the Star Wars solo stories. It's like, okay, yeah, this is super cool. It's in the Harry Potter world, or it's in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And it's like, but it's not.
Cool for how long?
That's exactly. It's cool. That nostalgia's there for like a minute, or maybe one movie, and then it kind of just dries up, and I feel like I don't care about this series.
Right.
Like, I cared about Harry Potter in that series, and I love going to Universal and immersing myself in that environment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I just don't care. We know where it's going. We know where the story ends.
And that's, that's not the main criticism I would levy at these films, just because there have been so many great, like, prequels and, like, stories where we know, where it's going, like, based on a true story and that kind of thing. But with this, it's like, how much can we take? Like, neither of us liked Rogue One. Neither of us have seen Solo, which I don't think anyone saw Solo. But it's just like, I don't know. I really do not know how to feel about this.
I don't need to know about these characters, is what I'm saying.
You're
cool.
right.
It's cool to, Han Solo is this character. Yeah, I would love to watch a series about him, or I'd love to see a TV show about him. But do you really? Like, I don't need to know that backstory. He's cool as hell. Have him be a cool hero, and leave it at that.
Well, I think that's kind of, and we're not going to get off on a whole tangent about this, but I do think that's kind of the whole thing, almost with Star Wars especially. It's like, okay, we had the original trilogy. It was really great. And then it's like, okay, well, let's dredge up the prequels. George Lucas is going fucking crazy with that. He's going to make those. They're fucking dog shit. And then, years later, Disney's like, oh, we're going to buy Lucasfilm. We're going to make more movies. And they've made more movies. They've made 4 now, with many more on the way. And it's just like, and I didn't grow up on Star Wars, I played some video games, I watched some of the movies, but I was never a huge fanboy or anything. So from like an objective standpoint, but I still enjoy the movies, the newer ones especially, because those are like what I'm with now.
The episode movies.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's enough is enough. You know what I mean? It's like, you can only do so much before it gets oversaturated and people just lose interest, and it's not, Star Wars was never meant to be this huge, ever-expanding universe. It was just good 3 movies with some great characters, and it probably should have just been left at that, but here we are. And now we have Fantastic Beasts number 2 of 4, supposedly.
And to talk more specifically about that series, they always mention different, like the American Hogwarts, quote unquote, or whatever. And then
which I kind of like to see.
In the Goblet of Fire, you had these other schools show up with their champion to go against Harry, and you're like, oh, okay, these other schools do exist, and there's these worlds, and it's cool. And then I'm thinking for a second, it would be cool to see about what's going on with these schools, you know? But then I'm like, do I really need to know about it? Like, they kind of just, like, I know they have, like, the American, I don't even know what it's called, the American Wizarding. It's kind of like the British.
Oh, like the Ministry.
It's like the Ministry magic, but it's like the American version. It's like the Bureau of.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it's called. Like, which just goes to show how forgettable this first film was.
Like, do I need to hear about the fucking Wizarding IRS in America? Like,
yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And it's like Harry Potter is great, and the world building's great. The characters are great. Hermione, Ron, all these people that we've loved over all these years. But is Harry Potter? Is it great because we want to know about all these other things, or is it great because the characters that we're focused on in that story is so great?
Yeah.
Once you diverge from that, it's kind of like, okay, yes, we're here, we're seeing these things we're familiar with, these different devices and creatures and that kind of thing, but it's like, yeah, for how long, right?
I think you're right. We shouldn't get off on a whole tangent, even though we have. But I think the main whole point that we're going to get to is, whether you're talking about Star Wars or Harry Potter or whatever, let's just take Harry Potter.
Right.
Because we're talking about Fantastic Beasts. Harry Potter, in the Wizarding world, as we know it, Harry Potter is like this unicorn, if you will. Like,
right.
And Voldemort is this larger-than-life evil villain that you can't even speak his name.
Right.
And you're literally going on the story of him from a baby up until the point he defeats Voldemort.
Yes, correct.
Anything other than that in that universe is not important.
It's not nearly as interesting.
Yeah.
because, like you said, it's Harry's the unicorn, for lack of a better term. He is the chosen one. He's like special. It's the same thing with Star Wars with Luke. It was Luke versus Darth Vader, one of the most intimidating, badass villains ever made. Once you go away from those things, it's like, okay, Rogue One, we have these characters that are like, they're not interesting at all. They have zero personality. They're just thrown together, and it's like, okay, that exactly proves my point. Once you move away from what makes these things special to begin with, which is the characters, you lose it. You lose the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned. You can still have the aesthetic. You can still have TIE fighters and troopers and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Lightsabers. But that's not, believe it or not, people don't watch these movies for the lightsabers, in my opinion. And so I totally agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah. I want to see a movie about Abraham Lincoln's life. I don't want to know the story about the teacher that inspired him when he was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting.
No, that's actually a great analogy.
Like, you know what I mean?
And so I guess it's safe to say we aren't that excited for Fantastic Beasts.
We will. I can almost guarantee I'll see the movie, but it'll probably be like on HBO.
I cannot guarantee that.
It'll probably be on HBO or something like that after the fact. I'm not going to be there opening night.
Yeah, I mean, my main motivation for these movies at this point is Ezra Miller, because he's going to be in all of them, and I do love him as an actor and like as a person. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going to watch this trailer. We'll do a reaction for it, give our fresh thoughts at that time. But yeah, we're not particularly excited. Now, one thing I am excited about is Godzilla, King of Monsters. We should be getting this first official trailer. I believe it comes out next May. The first movie came out in May.
Is Kong going to be in this? Were they doing a
crossover?
crossover?
No. That's the next year.
Oh my god.
Okay, but so Godzilla 2014. This was kind of a divisive blockbuster, more divisive than a lot in recent memory, I would say. How did you feel about that movie? When was the last time you saw it?
I saw it in theaters. That was the only time.
Really?
I was super pumped because I love Bryan Cranston. He was in it for about 4 seconds.
Oh, boy.
And I was hugely disappointed.
Oh, boy.
Overall, I feel like it's a forgettable movie.
See, there's the thing, though. You don't watch these movies for the characters. You watch them for Godzilla beating the shit out of whatever else he's fighting. Right?
And it was cool, but it's the same reason I knock all of The Rock's movies. It's like, oh, it's just CGI stuff. And I've always knocked CGI because I think it's lazy filmmaking. Even though it's extremely difficult to do that stuff from a technical standpoint. And those people work hard. I like practical effects, and you can't have a practical effects 100-foot tall lizard monster.
Right. Well, I will say, okay, so this is how I feel about 2014 Godzilla. It's a divisive movie because it kind of played against people's expectations. People thought Bryan Cranston's main character were going to follow him through. He's going to be the thread through this whole thing. And then he dies right away, basically, right? Yeah. Then you're stuck with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's like this completely cardboard soldier guy. And
they show like his kid is in danger.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
And his wife is Elizabeth Olsen. But basically, how I felt about it is it's a good movie. I don't think it's great. I think people say it's like a masterpiece because it's so subversive. Godzilla doesn't fully appear, I think, until like almost an hour into the movie or something. Now, when he finally does appear at that airport, it's like one of the most like chilling sequences you can think of. It's so badass. The design of Godzilla is really good in this movie. The CGI is all really good.
Yeah.
The roar is fantastic. But there's just not. I think people were just upset that there wasn't enough fighting. You know what I mean? Then you have Kong. Skull Island came out last year. That was more, I think, in people's expectations. A lot of monsters fighting in that movie. Much more. It wasn't so, serious. There was more comedy in it. And so I think people are going to be hoping that they strike a good balance between those two movies with this new Godzilla movie. I hope they do. Because I think both of those movies were good, not great. And I think kind of the tone and finding the right balance of action versus character and drama and that kind of stuff is like what the main like goal is with this. And so you have Godzilla. We just got the first official photo from the movie, actually, from EW. He's using his atomic breath or whatever, like shooting it straight up into the sky.
Cool. That
looks really badass. Go look it up online if you haven't seen it already. And he's taking on 3 different monsters in this movie. In the first one, he was taking on both of those Muto creatures that were like flying. Here we have King Ghidorah, which is going to be insane, like the 3-headed dragon guy, Mothra, and then a third creature that I cannot remember at this moment. But it's going to be, I think, just based on the numbers, we should be expecting more action, right?
I do definitely want to see this trailer because are they going to have a trailer, right?
Yes, it should be. It should be. They're definitely going to have footage, and I'd be shocked if it does not go online. That's why I think we should talk about it. And once it does, we'll obviously do a reaction.
I wasn't huge on the original one, but at the same time, it's one of those where it's like
it's a new director.
They can lure me back, basically.
Right.
And a side note on that, not a sub note, a side note. When Johnny was younger, one of his favorite movies that he watched a million times in a row.
You have no idea, ladies and gentlemen.
Was Godzilla 2000.
Godzilla 2000.
Oh my fucking god.
Well, Godzilla 2000 and the atrocious Godzilla 1998.
Oh my god. I don't know. Is that the one I'm talking about?
That's probably the one you're talking about. But I did watch Godzilla. I actually remember specifically. We lived in the Netherlands at the time. My dad was in the military. And for my birthday, it was like maybe my 5th birthday or something. And this is foreshadowing of who I've become. But I wanted to go to the movies, and we went and saw Godzilla 2000. It was Japanese produced. It was dubbed, I think, or had subtitles. And, I was... Yes. Okay, so... and I was all about it, ladies and gentlemen. But so we watched that. I was really into that. But growing up, I wore out the Godzilla 1998 VHS tape, which is... I actually haven't seen that movie in years since I was a kid. In retrospect, it's awful from what I've seen and watched and read about it since now as an adult.
But it's okay. It's one of those classic childhood films.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, classic. So, I mean, Godzilla will always have like special place in my heart just because of that. So I can't help but be excited for whenever they're throwing him in a movie. I liked the 2014 one. I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit. And then, of course, in 2020... Godzilla versus Kong is kind of like a dream match, so to speak. So
really, is it going to be Dragon Ball Z? Is it going to be Godzilla versus Kong, or is it going to be like a BVS situation?
Oh, I think 100% it's going to be a BVS situation. I don't know how it could be a BVS situation. I don't know how that I don't think either of them are going to utter Martha at any point. But I would imagine they'll fight because you have to you have to hold that promise, right? Yeah. So they're going to fight, but then there's going to be some greater threat, some huge, insane monster that they're going to have to team up to fight. And I don't know what I'm more excited for, Godzilla and Kong beating the shit out of each other, or Godzilla and Kong tag teaming some fucking poor creature. It's gonna be nuts. But yeah, so those are our thoughts on the WB Monsterverse at this time.
Okay. Last but certainly not least, Warner Brothers panel, we have Aquaman for sure will be the biggest film that they have there.
It'll probably be the biggest film of the whole convention.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Jason Momoa finally not going to be a side character in Justice League. No. He's going to be in his own film here.
And easily, I think a lot of people Jason Momoa is a pretty famous guy. You can't really miss him. He's very distinct looking and he has a big personality. But easily the biggest movie he's ever been in.
Oh yeah.
Justice League was obviously a start, and he had a small appearance in BVS, but this is his vehicle. He's never had the spotlight like this before, and he's just a great guy, and I think he's an underrated actor. I think he's actually going to get his time to shine in this.
They've released a lot of promos the last couple of weeks, a poster. They're putting up all the social media stuff. This weekend is going to be the weekend of Aquaman, for sure.
It's going to be the huge coming out party. This week has already got it kicked off, as you said. The social media pages have gone up. Go follow those. You can find all the stuff that is associated with this movie right now, including the first poster. And then a really cool magazine cover came out today. The Den of Geek cover, which has our first look at Orm and Black Manta, fully official, as well as some of the other side characters. Mara and Arthur obviously look badass. You got some of the Trench in there. It looks... Aquaman, I'm a huge Aquaman fan. I think Dan is as well.
I am.
And he's an underrated... He's the butt of a lot of jokes, as he has been since the Super Friends show back in the 80s. This is going to change things. I think Jason Momoa has already kind of started that transition, because you can't make fun of Jason Momoa. And that was kind of Zack Snyder's masterstroke with this casting.
See, I do prefer, and I like the I call it the classic,
the blonde,
Aquaman
clean
look.
cut.
I would be super happy with Chris Pine as Aquaman.
Honestly, now that Jason Momoa is Aquaman, I can't imagine anyone else in the role.
Well, that's why I say I
Right.
don't mind, because when I originally heard this, I was like,
Right.
what the hell? Like, how is this going to be?
Yeah.
But I don't even notice it now at this point, because
Yeah.
it's just...
He's made it his own, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And also, I think his personality kind of like comes through it. But I also think in Justice League, he was more like over the top, like bro Aquaman, as some people have referred to him as, you know.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedonified. But I think in this, James Wan and Jeff Johns had a huge part of getting this movie together. I think that his character and his personality is going to be a lot more fleshed out and a lot more nuanced than it was in Justice League, which is what I'm really excited for, because not only is Aquaman an awesome, underrated character, but his entire world and all of his supporting characters, Mera, Orm, Manta, Nereus, Volko, all these different people. And it's just... I am so excited for this. I really can't put it into words how excited I am. But what are for this trailer specifically, what are your expectations? What would you like to see? I would imagine the film is just 5 months away now, and this is the first footage we're getting publicly online. So I think it'll be a full-blown 2.5 minute trailer. What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? What do you hope? What do you expect? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
I do want to see underwater the majority of the time.
Yes.
I want to see how it's going to look. Is it going to come off like weird, or is it going to be...
Right. And I think that's kind of like, as far as expectations go, it's like hard to know what to expect, because as far as I know and I'm concerned, there's never been a movie made like this ever. Like, especially in the modern era where 2/3 of it is underwater in the ocean and it's live action and people are supposed to be swimming around and like talking and stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be very...
This has not been... It's like Star Wars-y almost, but underwater, and like kind of like mixed in with Lord of the Rings and that kind of thing. So that I agree with you on that. It's gonna be weird. They need to... I think James Wan has kind of made a point of this in his like interviews and comments in the last few months. They've wanted to show stuff. I think WB themselves have actually wanted to show footage prior to now, but Wan has been very, very assertive in saying that he doesn't want to show stuff until it'll look good.
Oh, he shouldn't show anything until it's
Right.
ready. I mean, period. Because this is a make or break, biggest audience they're going to have until this thing comes out.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. So I agree. The VFX need to be very good. And I do want to see a lot of stuff underwater, because that's never really been done at this scale, at least. So I want to see how they pull that off. The talking, the swimming, all that stuff. What about as far as like action or like character moments and like stuff like that? Because we're... Like I said, apart from Aquaman himself, you got Mera, you got the villains.
I don't think they're going to show too much action type stuff. I think, like, are they going to be like when they're battling in this movie? Is it going to be like they're like floating a little bit and they're like hitting each other, or are they going to be like, can you plant your feet and throw a punch? Like,
well, I think, and we've kind of gotten... It's been done different ways in the different animated shows that we've watched, kind of growing up. Young Justice and the animated Justice League series and that kind of thing. What I am kind of envisioning from, a standpoint of that is that it'll almost be like, remember the Zod, how could you forget, the Zod Superman fight from the end of BVS, or not BVS, Man of Steel, where they're like flying through the air and they're kind of like standing there in the air, but they're also like flying and throwing and punching and stuff. I think it's kind of going to be like that, but obviously underwater. So like
I can see that.
The physics are similar. But I think James Wan, he has to nail that stuff, right? And I actually read, I don't know if this was hyperbole or what, but I read in the set reports just came out yesterday, which if you haven't seen those, go check them out. You can find them on Collider.com or JoeBlow.com or any of those like outlets. But they said there's going to be 18 action sequences in this movie, like total. So, and in 2/3 of the film, also supposedly, it takes place actually underwater. So that's a lot of action. That's a lot of underwater. So that's a lot that they're gonna have to pull off. I'm really excited. Orm versus Arthur. Orm is like one of my favorite villains. Black Manta as well. I'm excited to see Mera's powers. I hope they like show off a decent bit of that, because Mera and Arthur they're like equals as far as I'm concerned. They're like, they make each other better, and they're both really badass. Their powers are unique to each other. And I think hopefully they have a dynamic almost similar to Steve Trevor and Diana in Wonder Woman, because I thought they handled that really well. Their chemistry was really good. So it's going to be... I mean, I think this is... I mean, obviously Ant-Man and the Wasp just came out. And that was like a man and a woman, both superheroes, like fighting together. But and so I think this is going to be kind of a similar situation. I haven't seen that movie, but
what do you think about Shazam? They've been releasing a lot of pictures.
They have been
promoting this thing.
Yeah, EW's let out a few pictures over the last week, but just the last couple of days we've gotten like 2 or 3 pictures.
Oh man, I was not happy about Zachary Levi being cast until I seen these pictures.
Really?
Because I was just like, man, they could have gotten. I could picture a lot of different actors in that position.
Really?
Yeah. But
who would have been your dream fan cast for Shazam?
I know for sure.
Don't say it.
That John Cena
was
being considered for this role.
He was considered.
Well, you don't think he would be perfect for that?
Here's the thing with that. I think he would be. Like, he could nail that, like, childlike, like, wonder. And, like, he's huge, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think for this, he wouldn't. It would just be John Cena. It wouldn't be Shazam. You know what I mean? Like,
you think he's too big for this role?
He's too big. Like, literally, not literally, but he has such a... Everyone knows who John Cena is, right? And if you put John Cena in as the superhero, it's like, okay, it's John Cena's superhero movie. It's not Shazam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think Zachary Levi, I didn't really know of him before he got cast in this role. I was like, who? He was in Chuck. I think it was like his main like claim to fame.
Yeah, and that show's been over for a little while.
Yeah. But yeah, he is a tall guy. He's over 6 feet tall for sure. And he got ripped and jacked for this movie. And he, like you said, what in these photos that you've seen like convinced you as far as that goes?
It just looks right. Like, it just looks like it works. It looks like everybody's having fun, and it looks like it just works. Like, sometimes I see stuff and I'm just like, okay, I don't care. Like, I want to see what those pictures are about. I want to see the trailer. I want to see the movie. Sometimes I see stuff and I'm just like, I don't really care.
Right.
This one just gets my attention, basically.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Shazam is also unique because kind of similar to Aquaman. It's like we've never seen this story like told before. And there have been so many superhero movies at this point, obviously, but there's never been. I mean, Peter Parker's a kid being a superhero, but Billy Batson becoming Shazam and being like a god, basically,
that's gonna be cool.
Like Superman, that is completely different, like not done before. Do you think? So we're both excited for it. Obviously, we like what we've seen.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get a trailer? Because there's been a lot of like back and forth. People online are like, "Are we? Aren't we?" Personally, I mean, this is its only Comic-Con before the movie comes out. It comes out in March or April of next year. So I think, especially with all the promo they've been doing, I think it'd be a mistake to not show something, right?
I don't think they're going to have a trailer, and I think if anything, they're going to post some video. Actually, no, they're not going to post a video. I think they're going to show it to the people in attendance. I don't think it's necessarily going to be posted online.
That's bold.
I really don't.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But obviously, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I really want to see this trailer that they're going to show. Because they're definitely showing a trailer in Hall H. Like, there's no question. It's just a matter of whether all the people outside, us normal folks are going to be able to see it. And you're right, I don't know for sure. And I would not be surprised if they don't, unfortunately. But I guess that would just be more time for Aquaman to shine. Do you think this DC panel is a huge, part of the Warner Brothers presentation? Do you think that now there was a report that Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be there in some capacity? I think Gal Gadot is going to be there. Patty Jenkins probably going to be there. Are they going to show anything? Are we going to people in the hall are definitely going to see some stuff. I would lose my shit if they released a picture of Cheetah or something like that, or just anything new. I mean, we've already gotten a couple of really, really cool stills from the movie. Yeah. One of which revealed the Steve Trevor thing, which is still oh my god, what the hell is going on? But I don't know. I think also, do you expect? Do you have any bold predictions to make with regards to any other movies showing up, or casting announcements, or photos, or anything like that? Because people have been saying. I mean, you have the Joker movie that's going into production soon, Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie and all those people. You have the Flash movie supposed to go in production by the end of the year or early next year. I mean, there's a bunch of different things they could do.
We might see some concept art at most from any of those. I don't think.
Other than Wonder Woman, I would agree with that probably.
Other than Wonder Woman, I don't think they're going to post anything. The only thing that I want to fucking see, and I shouldn't curse because this is a podcast, it's a new territory here, is
that's blown.
I want to see some Young Justice stuff.
Oh,
Like, god dang, man.
they are going to show something for Young Justice.
They better.
And I think it'll be. I'm not sure if it's going to be. I think it'll be at a separate panel from this because their animation stuff's separate. But I think that they're actually going to like release online the first official trailer, getting people excited for this third season.
I just want to see a teaser trailer at the very least, because the last update I saw was a few months ago where they said they've only done 10% of the
animation
or something, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
That is, I absolutely loved the first season. I really, really liked the second season. That's like one of those mythical properties at this point.
It's
where
like
it's
a seminal piece of.
They're gonna keep teasing us with this thing, and keep in mind, the show was canceled and brought back because of fans wanted it. So we absolutely deserve to see something, and it's gonna come out when the DC streaming service comes out, I believe.
Right, it's gonna be on there. Yeah,
and that's gonna be by the time. Within the next year, I would imagine.
Right.
So I mean, they got to show something.
No, I think there's definitely going to be some stuff shown. I think they'll actually have animation, like footage, like to show online, like a trailer of some sort, and then maybe some like photos or like a poster. So I think
a sizzle reel.
A lot of people love this show, us included. Super bummed that the first 2 seasons have been off Netflix for like a while now. Because they do have that DC streaming service that's like coming soon. So, but yeah, I know that's definitely kind of a sleeper thing. I think some people probably wouldn't think about. But
all right, guys, we've pretty much hit on all the major points that we wanted to talk about. San Diego Comic-Con is starting tomorrow as of this recording, but really it'll be kicking off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturday is the big day.
Saturday is the day.
You should be hearing this if you're listening to it around the time I post. Wednesday, Thursday. Definitely subscribe to the channel. We're gonna have tons of reactions Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever whatever they're gonna release, we're gonna post about.
Correct.
Let us know what you think about everything. What are your predictions? What do you want to see? What are your thoughts on all the movies we talked about and the sequels coming up?
Yeah, 100%. And be sure we're gonna have, for all the trailers we just talked about that we know are gonna go online, we'll have reactions for those. We'll give our immediate thoughts on what we think about them. And then next week, after the whole show is over, we'll do our next podcast, which will be basically a Comic-Con review, which we'll go into detail about each panel, each trailer, and like the stuff they talked about and showed and what we really thought about everything. So it's really exciting, really exciting. This is like Christmas, like I said. So definitely subscribe, stay tuned, leave your thoughts. Tell us what you want us to talk about, what you are most excited for, what your predictions are. It's definitely going to be a very cool and exciting next few days. So stay tuned for sure.
All right, guys. Once again, this is the official SNORCKL podcast, 3rd episode. Come along for the ride. This is a long time coming, basically. We've been putting this off for a long time, but I think finally we're got in the groove to where we can mix this in with our channel and people will enjoy it, and it's a different form of entertainment, basically. I mean, audio, you can sit down and listen to this on the way to work or at the gym or whatever, and you don't have to actually watch along, so to speak, if you want. So thank you guys once again. Please subscribe and come back this weekend and check out all of our reactions.
Thank you, guys.